Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Today, Poland is celebrating Armed Forces Day. A grand parade overseen by the Commander-in-Chief, the President of Poland, Andrzej Duda, entitled Faithful to Poland, was organised in Katowice to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the outbreak of the First Silesian Uprising. The parade comprised 67 aircraft, over 180 heavy artillery pieces and over 2,000 soldiers.
Co nam obca przemoc wzięła, szablą odbierzemy.
What the foreign power has taken from us,
Myślę, że
we
te
shall
słowa
recapture with a saber.
mieli w
I
pamięci
think that these words were in the soldiers' minds, those who were mobilized by Marshal Józef Piłsudski, by the Prime Minister Wincenty Witos and other Polish politicians of the time, the fathers of our independence, the army of a million soldiers. They went to the front of the battle near Warsaw. That historic August day, 1920, we thank them for their sacrifice, for fighting for their independent Poland with Lower and Upper Silesia that we enjoy today and for which we owe them our infinite gratitude.
Jesteśmy im za to dozgodną wdzięczność.
Komunistyczne wojska, które
The communist armed forces were marching on Warsaw, Berlin and Paris. We defended the whole of Europe. We influenced the world's future. Looking at their sacrifice today, we are obliged to appreciate their achievements, to use the time of peace given to us for our country, our love of freedom, our fight against tyranny, our respect for justice and democracy has influenced the world's history 3 times, in 1920, in 1939 and 1980, during the Solidarity years.
Wpłynęło na losy świata 3-krotnie. W 20 roku, w 39 i w 80 w latach Solidarności.
This is not a usual day. This is the Polish Armed Forces Day. We are going to celebrate together with the Polish soldiers. We are going to show our pride in being Polish. We are going to thank to the Polish soldiers for their everyday service. We are grateful to them for being role models of patriotism back then and today.
99 years ago, Polish troops led by General Lucien Żeglingowski won back the city of Radzymin from Soviet control. This defeat of the Red Army was a key moment in the Battle of Warsaw, which saved Poland and other European countries from communism.
On August 15, 1920, Poles halted the Bolsheviks heading towards the west. The final Polish-Soviet battle near the city of Radzymin is considered by historians to be one of the 20th most important battles in the world. According to Krzysztof Jabłonka, Poles saved not only Poland but all Europe from communism.
Gdybyśmy przegrali,
if we had lost back then, communism would have gained control over Poland and other European countries in 1920. We saved not only ourselves, our independence, our dignity, but we also saved Europe.
nasze państwo naszymi własnymi siłami odzyskane.
On August 15th, the Bolsheviks planned on taking over Warsaw, although the Polish soldiers broke the front near the city of Radzymin and attacked the enemy. In the north, near Nasielsk, General Władysław Sikorski's army was fighting against the Red Army as well. The undefeated Red Army gave up and ran away. Hungary helped Poles defeat the enemy by providing 80 wagons of weapons and ammunition.
Winning back Radzymin was a key moment in our victory.
The estimated Russian losses were 10,000 killed, 500 missing, 30,000 wounded and 66,000 taken prisoner, compared with Polish losses of some 4,500 killed, 10,000 missing and 22,000 wounded. The ceasefire was signed on October 15 in Riga and the peace treaty was signed in March 1921.
The 15th of August is the Catholic feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the bodily taking up of the Virgin Mary into heaven at the end of her earthly life. Pilgrims from all over Poland have been arriving at the shrine of Our Lady of Częstochowa in Jasna Góra for several days. According to the official website of the shrine, the number of pilgrims this year is higher than that in previous years, with some 4,000 pilgrims visiting the Chapel of the Miraculous Image.
Today's holiday is a great event for pilgrims. It is a meeting with the assumed Mother of God who reminds us of the purpose of our Christian path.
Jest to święto, myślę, że takiej...
It is a holiday with a sense of community gathered around the Mother, but also around the Queen, because Our Lady of Częstochowa is the Queen to us. Some say we live in a monarchy, and we are happy with this monarchy that has been in place for so many centuries. She still reigns over us, and no one has dethroned her here. Despite various attempts, this holiday still unites us, so it is a celebration of the unity of people who share the same values.
wyznających te same wartości.
For many, participation in the pilgrimage is a great opportunity to test themselves, test their character and their faith.
Cel tej pielgrzymki.
The purpose of this pilgrimage, which is to visit the image of the Mother of God, is also very important, and this is a great experience. However, I think the path itself is much more important. There are spiritual retreats on the way, and they help us develop ourselves, our spirituality, and also thanks to them we can establish our relationship with God and the people in the group. We can simply become better people.
Oraz z ludźmi w naszej grupie.
The Feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, celebrated on August 15th, is one of the oldest Marian holidays in the Catholic Church. In Polish tradition, it is known as the Feast of Our Lady of the Herb.
Bardzo pokochałam Polskę.
I fell in love with Poland very much, and it is the Polish nation that is so devoted to Mother Mary that it is not surprising that it is here in Jasna Góra where Mary really reigns and takes care of all of Poland. We can really always resort to her, and she just loves us as our mother.
Taką naszą orędowniczką.
In the folk tradition, August 15th is Thanksgiving for the harvested crops. On this day, bouquets made of cereals, vegetables, fruits, flowers and herbs are brought to the church for consecration. The blessing plant bouquets is to emphasize that people need the healing power of nature.
A shooting has occurred in the city of Philadelphia in the United States. 6 policemen were injured during an exchange of fire as officers entered a house in the city with a search warrant. After many hours of surgery on Wednesday night, the man who had been shooting at police was arrested.
Officers returned fire, many of whom had to escape through windows and doors to get from a barrage of bullets. Right now, we can tell you that there are 6 police officers who were struck by gunfire. Thankfully, all of them are in stable condition. They were struck throughout their body. One officer sustained a gunshot wound, grazed wound to his head, thankfully.
Aggravating, it's saddening, and it's just something that we need to do something about. And if the state and federal government don't want to stand up to the NRA and some other folks, then let us police ourselves. But they preempt us on all kinds of gun control legislation. Our officers deserve to be protected, and they don't deserve to be shot at by a guy for hours with an unlimited supply of weapons and an unlimited supply of bullets. So it's disgusting, and we got to do something about it.
The shooting began on Wednesday around 4:30 p.m. local time when officers went to one of the houses in North Philadelphia to carry out a search warrant. The house was to be searched as tenants were suspected of possessing drugs. The police commissioner said many officers had to escape through windows and doors to avoid being shot. 2 policemen were imprisoned in the house for about 5 hours, but were released by the SWAT team. According to the police, 3 people who had been detained by the officers before the shooting took place were also safely evacuated.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.
I'm Aleksandra Zarzycka and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. Temperature will fall to 8 degrees in Białystok. On the south, temperature will range about 10 degrees. Sky will be a light overcast. On the northwest, thunderstorms will appear. Let's see the forecast for tomorrow. Rainy day ahead of us. Temperature will range from 20 degrees in Łódź to 23 in Gdańsk and Bydgoszcz. Rainfalls will appear in most regions except western Poland. More sunlight is expected on the southeast as well. Let's check the weather for the next days. Saturday will bring us more sunlight and higher temperatures. On Sunday, sky will be sunny. Rainfall will appear only on the northeast. Temperature will hover between 23 to 27 degrees. On Monday, rainy weather will continue across the country. Temperature will fall to 20 degrees on the west. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Poland Daily Business Edition. Welcome to the show, and we will talk tonight about a little bit more international issues than the local Polish ones. Ambassador Ryszard Żółtaniecki is our guest, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good evening.
The surprise on Saturday and Sunday morning that was in Poland, we learned that Mr. Epstein, the person who was charged with very serious charges of pedophilia and sex trafficking and this kind of stuff, committed suicide.
Very rich, let me add, very rich and very influential person in American social life.
Right. And what struck me in the media was, first of all, that media denounced the theory, the conspiracy theory, because the guy committed suicide in a place where he shouldn't be able to do that.
Very carefully guarded.
Right. And second, the media blamed who? Donald Trump.
Well, it's surprising. Yes, the answer for the question whether it's surprising or not, yes and no. Yes, because it's absurd. But no, because we observed a certain tendency in the international politics, in American domestic politics in particular, that whatever happens, whatever is occurring, always at the end of the day, Donald Trump is going to be blamed as a source of the eternal, perpetual evil. We observe the same process in the Polish internal domestic politics as well. So it's not the specificity exclusively of the United States. But here in this case, Donald Trump, for the certain faction of American political spectrum, is the equivalent of any bad doing, wrongdoing, any, I would say, pathology in politics. He is like personalized dark side of the human nature.
Rightfully or wrongfully, because this is a person who has family values, keeps his children sticking together.
And he's, surprisingly, he's efficient. And his politics is a very, I would say, moderate. He very carefully is guiding the United States through the, I would say, all rocks and of present international situation.
This Epstein story, Epstein, how we read that in English, is a sort of epitome of the conspiracy theory, because how it is possible, first of all, that this happened, and second, why we read in the media that conspiracy theory is something wrong. You have been a high-positioned diplomat. You know that the things are happening in the world that are not necessarily as the media are saying. In this situation, would you rather believe the conspiracy theories or rather try to believe the media?
Yeah, there is no doubt that this case should be very carefully and seriously investigated, because it's not normal in American prison that such a person like Jeffrey Epstein is committing suicide in the prison. But on the other hand, when this is the natural tendency, natural feature of the human nature, especially of the American human nature, that if we feel helpless, somehow, if we are puzzled by the situation, always we start to look for the conspiracy. The best example is WTC, destruction and attack, terrorist attack.
That's true. On the other hand, we have this Occam razor saying what is that the most
probable
logic solution is
the most probable.
Right, and we have a guy who knows the names, who can remember the things.
Situation, names, connections, situations.
Yeah, and this is not the name of Donald Trump, as we start. This is rather the name of people from this Clinton coterie.
Mm-hmm. His arrest was sort of danger for many people. and they might feel insecure and very uncomfortable in the situation which happened, which occurred. So we cannot exclude any possibility. So once again, the case has to be investigated.
The other thing is when the guy is alive, the investigation and investigators has certain dates to complete the investigation. When the guy is dead, it can take another 50 years.
The problem is solved.
Right.
It's non-existence.
So this is maybe kind of answer we need in this situation.
You see, with such a theories, with such a situation, to the very end of our natural existence, we would never know. You would never say
It is interesting whether this will be a topic of the presidential debate. The presidential campaign in America is started. Why not?
But I, unfortunately, because there are so many more serious matters. We have a question on non-proliferation, question of North Korea, Iran. Still, situation in Iraq and Afghanistan is far away from stability. We have Syria, we have Russia as a major troublemaker now, at least in this part of the world. We have China. So to concentrate on the serious and very sad event as a major issue of the presidential campaign seems to be absolutely absurd. But on the other hand, if we observe our domestic politics here in our country, well, the same is happening. We have so many problems with energy, with climate, with the economy. And we concentrate on the minor, irrelevant, absolutely marginal issues.
This is what is happening in the world. We will see the next American campaign over the next year. For this 8 weeks, please focus on the Polish election campaign, because exactly on October 13 we will have general election, and then we will see how the situation in Poland changes.
I believe that we will not follow the pattern of this time, exceptional time. We will not follow the pattern of the United States.
Okay, Ryszard Żółtaniecki, sir. Thank you very much for this conversation, and that was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.
Welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Rainy day ahead of us. Temperature will range from 20 degrees in Łódź to 23 in Gdańsk and Bydgoszcz. Rainfalls will appear in most regions except western Poland. More sunlight is expected on the southeast as well. Now let's check the weather for Europe. On the south of Europe, temperature will range from 32 to 37 degrees in Ankara. In Central Europe and in British Islands, we will expect rainfalls and sometimes heavy downpour. More sunlight will appear in Scandinavia, and there we will see a lot of sun. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Good day, everyone. My name is Maria Kądzielska, and today on Poland Daily Culture, we are going to talk about unique cultural and educational undertaking, Polish Debutante Program. We have in studio with us Agnieszka Michalczyk.
Good evening.
And Małgorzata Tomorowicz-Malińska.
A pleasure to be here.
Founder and organizer of the program.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for coming. But before we start, let's watch a short film. understand you're exclusive partner for the Opernball in Vienna. And Polish debutante represent Poland there on this wonderful event, which is Opernball. How did you achieve it, and how preparation look like, and who actually can go to Vienna with you?
Well, this is a privilege to be in Vienna every single year, and this is a great thing that we can have 6 debutantes from Poland each year, and they take part in this, the most beautiful ball in the whole world, Opernball. So,
and usually those are 3 girls from our program who have been the most hardworking and most deserving during this program, and they simply are chosen and are given the chance to participate together with 3 young men from the Warsaw Ensemble, Song and Dance Ensemble of the Warsaw University. Warszawianka, yes.
So, I've heard that the rehearsals in Vienna are extremely exhausting. Is it true? And how do they look like?
Yeah, extremely exhausted, I have to say, because they have to dance for the whole day. For 3 days, they have to know the choreography very fast.
They learn from scratch.
Yeah.
They come from the airport, we come from the airport, and immediately they participate.
Go, yes.
Yes.
So what are the dances? The waltz, I guess. But is Austrian waltz different than the Polish waltz?
It's different. This is the opposite direction. Yes.
So on the left side, yes?
Yes, on the left side. Yes. Because in Poland we go to the right side, and in Vienna it's
to the
opposite.
Left.
Yes.
So the rumors say that debutantes faint during the rehearsals. Is it true? Did our Polish debutant fainted?
Not our Polish.
I think we are quite resilient, thank God.
But yeah, some of them from the word, yes, they faint.
And boys and girls.
Yeah.
No matter. I mean,
why would it happen? Like because of the exhausting dancing, or atmosphere, stress, air? What's the reason?
Everything put together. It's a combination of all these factors. They are extremely tired, they are nervous, the tension gets to them, but also I think it's also the humidity. There are some points in the opera where it's quite humid, because there are how many couples participate from the whole
More
world?
than 150, 160, 170 couples.
From all over the world.
160 or 170.
Yeah.
Is it true that aristocrats come there? Only aristocrats, or is it kind of mixed? Are our girls aristocrats?
No.
No. We don't search for blue blood. No, we think that every honest and wonderful human being has blue blood in him. So, we don't look for crests or anything like that. But deserving young, as I say, students who deserve to go and represent Poland on an international scene.
Yeah, but in Vienna, there are a lot of aristocrats,
a lot of
families, and
business families, lawyer families, politicians.
So there's a chancellor always there, the Austrian chancellor.
Yeah.
And other politicians,
yes,
I guess?
Absolutely.
Yes. And the politicians from the whole world. Yes.
And how the ball look like? How does it start? What happens there?
Well, we have the master of ceremony come into march, you might say, into the opera, and into this huge aula, because it's actually, they remove all the chairs before the ball, so there's a lot of space, and all the debutantes simply march in with him, behind him, and later on they simply perform. No, later on there is this entertainment, isn't it?
Oh,
is the ballet?
Yes, is the ballet and sopranos
or
and
tenors.
And what happens to
tenors.
debutantes?
They are just stand. They stand
for an hour and watch.
Yes.
This is very difficult.
Yes. That must be difficult.
Yeah.
Exhausting, actually. Yeah. And after that, and we have had fantastic people perform, because in Placido Domingo, which is quite a treat to listen to. And you have the beautiful ballet, of course, the opera ballet, which is one of the best.
And the orchestra.
And the orchestra.
Of course,
yes. And after the entertainment, then of course begin our debutantes enter the scene. Yes, they dance. It usually comprises this whole part of the waltz is at the very end.
I see.
And so we have polkas, we have marches, we have different polonaise.
And what are they wearing? Are those tiaras there, the white dresses?
Yeah. Like here in Poland, they wear white dresses, they have tiaras, gloves, and of course...
And gentlemen?
Oh, they wear tailcoats, absolutely.
Yeah,
white tie.
There's the beginning, dances, the waltz, and what happened then? The whole night of dancing, or?
Well, yes, absolutely.
So after the waltz, the president says, alles waltze. And then everybody who is invited goes and
join
debutants. And they.
So that is really like from historical times, like as if it.
So this is the 200 years of the history.
So and
it's like,
Polish girls can take part in it.
Yes,
it's
and Polish
introducing
boys.
These beautiful young people into the adult world, you might say.
Can they eat anything during the night? Or is it
the ice cream?
Yes, of course, but usually they don't. They drink a lot, of water and maybe a glass of champagne.
Okay, and some of them, they go outside and they eat the sausages, which
we
are not
next
very
to the
proud
opera
of.
ball, which is opera house, which is very funny. But that's also a tradition, that you go out all decked out in beautiful,
and
gowns.
In this beautiful gown, you eat a sausage.
A Frankfurter sausage, yes. And you drink some wine or something out of a paper cup. So it's very funny.
So it's modern time kind of compared to historical tradition.
Yes.
And how long the ball take? How does it last?
It usually ends at 5 or 6 o'clock a.m.
And all the participants, the debutantes, they have a photograph taken of them sitting on this or standing on the stairs of the opera
5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock
in the morning.
In the morning, yes.
And also everyone who leaves the opera is giving the krapfen.
Yes.
Yes, because this is the Fat
What
Thursday.
are krapfen?
It's like our Polish pączki, which is a sort of donut.
Donuts,
So at the very end.
Yes.
And as I've seen photos and films from the opera house, I've seen also people with huge amount of flowers and the whole opera in flowers. Is it true?
Yes. Yes.
It's quite wonderful because the whole opera house is decked, you might say, in tons of flowers, which are, there's always a different idea how to decorate the opera house. And later on, when you leave, you are welcome to take as many flowers as you want.
It seems like a Cinderella night and a dream for every single girl. Thank you for sharing this with us, and thank you for watching Poland Daily Culture.
I'm here today in the Saxon Gardens at the heart of Warsaw. Since 1727, a public garden, one of the first in Europe. But it started life as something more, the garden of a palace built by the first Saxon king of Poland, Augustus II. A member of the Wettin dynasty from Saxony became kings of Poland. Why were they here? What were they doing? Why did they build this palace? And what is more, what is the Saxon Axis? An exercise in urban planning. Join me in Poland Daily History today when we find out more. that's why this church is significant, because it's one of the few buildings in Warsaw which is from that period of the Augustus II's time. A building, and it's remained pretty much unchanged since those days, which of course, given the other history of Warsaw, is itself quite a remarkable feature.
Yeah, exactly. When we even look at this church, it's a kind of mixing of late Baroque and the Rococo influences, especially at the Gloria and at the highest point of the church, with all those Rococo sculptures. One of the best preserved Baroque Rococo churches that we have in Warsaw. It wasn't connected directly with August II or August I, so the Vatins, but the same period. And actually, that's a place to reach, because we are standing on the Royal Road.
Yeah? We are indeed.
Yeah. So the backbone, historical backbone of the city, which was connecting the royal residence and the royal castle, the royal residences on the south of the city, and Villanov and so on, and of course further to the south with Krakow. So the previous capital, to like the medieval capital and the new capital, were connected with the Royal Road. Yeah. So that was the historical backbone, and actually Augustus II, with his architects, wanted to tie up his axis, the Saxon axis, to the historical backbone of the city. So exactly at this spot, he actually tie up with his architects the main axis of the
created the axis, which is
Saxon
like
axis.
Perpendicular to the royal route, essentially.
Yeah.
You know? And so he's sort of, here we are at the intersection.
You are on the intersection.
The historic royal route of Warsaw, and here I am, the first Saxon king of Poland. I'm going to create my axis as well, which I think, if you, as we can imagine in purely architectural terms, of course, you can take it back from over the river in Praga, in the east of what would be the axis where he was elected king, to Wola in the west, where historically kings of Poland, the election had been held as well. So again, it's just tying in the sort of thing, of course, which I think at that time, particularly monarchs, particularly those of an absolutist tendency, like to say, we are tied into the history. We are part of the history. We are showing the world that we are here legitimately. Harder when you're an elected king, of course, but we're here, and we are, God willing, as they would have said, here to stay. Of course, history has shown that they weren't here to stay for very long, but there we are.
Exactly. So that I think it's the very important thing to point out. That it was beginning in the one election field and ending in another election field. So that was this absolute idea of signifying also the position of the king in the kingdom. Exactly. So that was very important for August II, because he was ruling as an absolute monarch back in the Saxon electorate. Yeah, exactly. And when he became the king of Poland and Lithuania, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, he needed to change into the parliamentary system, yeah, and the so-called like the democracy of nobles that we used to have in the Polish-Lithuanian kingdom. So he wanted to transfer a lot of those absolute ideas into the Polish territories, yeah, and he wanted to transfer the political life, the taking of the procedure of the taking all the decisions, so to limit also the rights of the parliaments and the nobles. But he wanted to show his position also through the urban planning and through the architectural style. Yeah, so he was changing actually the whole layout of this part of the city, and actually he bought, even for this new axis, about 28 of the different parcels which once belonged to the different nobles' families here around the city. Yeah, so he also transferred literally the grounds of Warsaw from the nobles' ownership into the royal ownership. Yeah, so that was a huge change of the thinking about the city.
And to create this marvelous Saxon palace and this super garden, as I say, here I am, here are the Saxons, we're here right in the centre of Warsaw, and this is, we are absolutely in the centre because we're absolute monarchs. Yeah. And of course then beginning his battle with the Polish, which was a more democratic, albeit you had to be a nobleman to take part in the democratic system, but was as we know, quite an advanced democratic system.
Yeah, and that was one of the biggest problems, and which causes the biggest conflicts between August II and Vatins in general, and the Polish and Lithuanian nobles, because of course something which was the most important for the Polish and Lithuanian nobles, that was their position and so-called golden freedom that they had to take all the decisions that they wanted within the parliamentary system, both like locally and on the whole state like level. And August III, of course, wanted to introduce different ideas. So it built the tension, and it built the tension which was the case actually through the whole reign, especially of August II, but also August
Because August
I.
II tried to make the monarchy hereditary, and although his son Augustus III did in fact become king, obviously he wasn't successful in establishing a family dynasty. Yeah. Beyond the reign of Augustus III.
Yeah, so again, it was complex history. So after the death of August II,
which is in 1733.
Exactly. Because of the diabetes problems and different problems with health. By the way, he was a very strong, big guy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I'm right in saying.
Yeah, and he died, and so there was another problem with the succession after the August III. So there were another election.
This is the War of Polish Succession.
Exactly. So again, we have Stanisław Leszczyński, who came up for the second time as a candidate for the crown. Yeah, and we had the succession war between the August I, who was again supported by the Russian forces, and and of course the Stanisław Leszczyński, which was supported by French and some part of the Polish nobles. Yeah, so again it shows again that there was this tension between the Wettyns and the Polish nobles through the whole
time. But of course, with Russian support, the Augustus III was sort of secure on his throne from about 1766, 1767. That sort of, that was generally recognised by everybody as being the legitimate king of Poland for the duration.
Yeah. And that was actually one of the causes of the decline of Poland in 18th century, you can say, because in the Polish historiography, quite often both Augusts, the second and the third, Wettyns, are recognized as bad kings. It wasn't that simple, yeah? Some of their ideas were really enlightened ideas, actually, and with changing the system, that was also required by the Polish system, which was collapsing, yeah? Yes. But they didn't match at all with the internal political situation and social situation in the country. Yeah, so that was the main problem, actually.
And of course, the problem, I think, with being dependent on other people is you are dependent on other people. And I think Augustus III also wanted his son to take over the throne of Poland. But by that time, the Russians had decided they'd be rather better, or they favoured Stanisław Augustus Poniatowski as king.
Yeah.
So Augustus III wasn't able to leave a Wettin to the on the Polish throne.
Yeah, it already was. It already changed the situation actually, and August I changed the politics also, and he became really Polish king, we can say it, with time, and he was building this even a stronger Poland already, and he started some new ideas actually, and in the late his reign.
Yeah, and I think there is actually, I think the grandson of Augustus III was briefly, following the Napoleonic Wars, or in that part of dislocation of Europe, became the Duke of Warsaw for a relatively short time.
Yeah.
But that was really, I think, not desperately significant from...
No, he was more a symbolic monarch.
That was more a prologue to sort of Russian domination of the sort of joint kingdom of the kingdom after Napoleon, when we had the so-called Kingdom of Warsaw, which is really just a front for essentially Russian domination. So he's just really more a footnote. So that was three Wettyns, but of whom I think the first two, Augustus II and Augustus III, are the ones we're most interested in. And particularly, I think, Augustus II, because of the influence he's had on the physical environment and the buildings that he made in Warsaw. Yeah. So I think from that's a very good, I think, introduction. I think we can probably now, since we can probably go and start and sort of retrace the steps on the Saxon axis.
Let's go along.
Let's go and do it. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Poland Daily Travel. We are going to separate the wheat from the chaff here in this barn in the middle of the forest outside Warsaw known as Campinos. We're here with our guide, the education officer of this particular area, this little tiny farm, I suppose, recreated farm. His name is Mariusz Morkowski. Mariusz, how does this work?
To jest urządzenie służące do młócenia. Tak? Jak mamy snopek, to żeby oddzielić ziarno od słomy, to wtedy
this is separating the wheat from the residue. This is the first stage. Yeah.
To wtedy wrzuca się tutaj ten snopek. Tutaj było podłączone takim pasem skórzanym do silnika, a jak nie było jeszcze silników, to było takie urządzenie poruszane przez konie albo przez krowy, które się nazywało kierat. I to poruszało.
So they're doing
I powodowało młócenie, oddzielenie tego ziarna. Ziarno spadało, tam
so you have a wheel here that's spinning, and this is what's separating the good part from the waste part. Yeah.
Ziarno wtedy spadało na podłogę. Tam zazwyczaj było podłożone coś i wtedy te ziarno zabierano do innego urządzenia.
The product from underneath and then they bring it to the next stage, which is to clean it, but not using water. It's very interesting. Go ahead. They put it in here.
Wsypywane tutaj było ziarno jeszcze z plewami, czyli w takich osłonkach. I wtedy tutaj kręcono.
And
plewy wylatywały.
This is a lot of air, actually. It's a lot of air being generated, and this will blow the husk away. And then you have the way they cleaned the wheat, separated it from the residue 100 years ago.
A czyste ziarno spadało w tamtą stronę. Często do takiej pracy dzieci były wykorzystywane, takie starsze dzieci, tak?
So the older children, their job was to gather this in baskets and take it so they could prepare it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Poland Daily Travel. We've got a splendid series of programs for you, so just sit back and enjoy the ride as we take you on a magical mystery tour through the Campinos National Forest on the outskirts of beautiful downtown Warsaw. Campinos National Park was established in 1959 to protect the unique complex of inland dunes and wetlands, the natural plant communities, and the rich fauna, that's animals, and numerous monuments of Polish history and culture. And indeed, there are some pretty substantial dunes, as you will see. So stay tuned, you won't want to miss that. And did you know that Campinos National Forest, which is a UNESCO biosphere, is twinned with the Indiana Dunes National Park in the United States? The park covers an area of about 40,000 hectares. And in the park you will find a moose, a lynx, lots of owls, plenty of deer, and even a bear. Just kidding about the bear. And no wolves either, unfortunately. More than 73% of the park is covered with forests. It's a wildlife sanctuary with over 200 species of birds. There are swamps and forests and dunes and beavers and otters, to name a few more animals, along with pine martens, foxes, polecats, and as we said, lynx. And indeed, you might see a wolf. Campinos, the lungs of Warsaw, 40,000 hectares of wilderness on the northwest frontier of Warsaw. It has history, it has beauty, it has mystery. So you won't want to miss this series of exciting episodes from the Campinos National Forest. It was a lot of fun doing it, and I'm sure you're going to really enjoy it. On Poland Daily Travel, your favorite source for travel information about Poland and the best travel programming about Poland that has ever been attempted, that has ever been done, and that you've ever seen. Stay with us. Poland Daily Travel. Why do we do it? We do it for you.
Because as I said in the beginning, we were starting on a road trip. The beauty of road trips, of which I have done many in my life, I can tell you, even in strange places like the Amazon or Afghanistan or other wild places. The beauty of it is the people you meet along the way, rather than, you need to plan somewhat, but the people you meet along the way certainly make your travels much more interesting. And that's true in this case for sure. Powiedziałam, że kiedy podróżuję, najlepsze jest kiedy spotykać się z ludźmi jak od wypadek. Naturalnie, tak, wypadek, no, bez planu, coś takiego. No? Okay? Okay. We'll be back with more. We did a lot of threshing. We met Pani Ludwika, and we're all feeling very much at home now. Afterwards, we're going to go see this cemetery in a further episode. But stay with us because we have more to do here in the barn with Mariusz.